Hi, my name is Reverend Carol Kiama, and this is Thoughts of a Shaken Pastor Season 3. In this season, we've been talking about deconstruction, where some people walk out of faith, a faith that's so vehemently believed in, and where some people choose to stay. We've looked at many stories: alcoholism, drug abuse, losing a spouse, losing a child, abuse, and all those kind of things. And today, it gives me extreme pleasure to talk to my friend AG, who wants to share her story about her own hard knock journey. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Annegladys Gichuhi. Annegladys, that's AG. Annegladys Gichuhi, that's also AG. I'm married. It's going to be 15 years very soon, this year. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a mother of 3, 2 on earth and 1 in heaven. What else? I'm an entrepreneur. I am also a PhD student, information science. My business is publishing, and I also love mentoring girls and doing charity work that has to do with girls, orphans, vulnerable children. And I think the most important thing is that God loves me. I love him. He's my personal savior. And that is my only rest in life.
Amen. And you're a pastor's wife?
Yes, I'm a pastor's wife.
Pastor's wife. You said you have 3 children. Tell us a little bit about your children.
My daughter is now 11. She's written a book. I totally love her. She loves to sing, to skate, to dance. She's amazing.
And this is Hetal's book.
Yes, Hetal Wairimo.
This is her book. Imagine, at 11.
Yeah, she wrote that at 10.
Wow, she's definitely going places.
Yes.
So,
and my little baby now is 4 years old. He's a lovely, handsome boy, very helpful. He likes imitating the father, preaching and singing. So sometimes he tells us, this is the pulpit, so you come here, and then we have to do what he says, because now we're in church. So he's a lovely young man. In between, we had another boy, born in 2014, and he went to be with the Lord in 2015, when he was only 10 and a half months old. It broke our hearts. It changed our lives.
Maybe just a little bit. How was that like for you? He was sick?
No, he wasn't sick. He was fine. We had a lovely evening. I was washing dishes. He was having a good time. I mean, the whole perfect evening. I fed him. Everything was just beautiful, perfect, peaceful. I remember singing a lot of hymns when doing the dishes because he had slept. He was in the sitting room in the cot as usual, yeah? So he'd slept. And I remember singing all these hymns. He leadeth me. And then, katika safari yangu tatembea na wewe. And I can tell you for a long time I hated those hymns. I was like, hey, God, no, you can't have done this, you know? And so we went to sleep at night. Kawaida, you wake up at night, feed the baby, go back, and so on. And then at 5 something, I wake up and my husband is doing mouth to mouth. And I'm like, I just fed him. What is the problem, you know? And he was having trouble breathing. So I think it happened so fast because now the next thing I know is he was still doing mouth to mouth. I was dressing Hetal and we were out and heading to hospital immediately. We were rushing to Gertrude's. And we got there and it was just, man, ER is a skit. Because what was happening there was crazy. So they looked for veins, they couldn't find them. Eventually they had to jab his leg and they went straight to the marrow. And that was crushing. That was awful. So they did that and then they were able to try and get blood and give him the whole wax, looking for what's wrong. They ran so many tests. I can't even count them. They ran them and nothing was wrong, believe it or not. And in all of 16 hours from when he got to Gertrude's, he was gone. Just like that. Before you could blink and say day or night, it was over.
I remember coming to Gertrude and seeing you sitting there and our children were almost age mates. And just the devastation, Jason was really cute. And just the devastation, how did that impact your faith?
Telling Hetal was difficult. So Rupert had to do it, my husband. And the message was, he went to be with Jesus, because it has to be him who's gone, not Jesus who's come and taken him. So we had that whole conversation. And she went back to sleep, because remember, it's still early in the morning. because he passed away at around 2 in the night. Yeah, so she was asleep in the reception area of the ICU. So we had to now wake her up and tell her, and then now call the parents, call family, tell them what's going on. That was hard. So I couldn't imagine that Jesus had come for him after he had come for my father when I was 15. So what kind of a God is this? You're taking the man that I love. Like, will I not have any lasting relationship with a blood relative of mine that's male? You know? So that was difficult. And then now remembering those songs, He leadeth me, Tatembea nawe. And those were the songs you guys were leading during the funeral. Like, what? So that was hard. But then I had to tell myself, God allowed this to happen. And because I'm a very logical person, I had to look for reasons why. Why did he die? Nothing was wrong with him. We fed him right. The evening was perfect. He was fine. So why? And I remember not getting answers by myself. He's gone to heaven. It's peaceful. It's nice. It's beautiful. He's sorted. God is his father. Now, that was me thinking on my own. God is his father. He'll never die. He's in the best place ever. But then Musao brought out, how we would have hardships in this world and what he's been saved from. Then in discussions with my husband, it was very clear. First of all, he's been saved from teenage. You know what that means. Yeah. He doesn't have to go through the trouble of teenage. He doesn't have to go through, on a light note, having his little toe kicked like against the table. Like he's been saved from so much. There's so much heartache, pain, and drama that God had saved him from being here on earth. So I was like, okay, fine, he's in a better place. And I can tell you, when he was passing away, because we were there to the last minute, the song that was in my mind then was, I'm in better hands now. So it's as though Jason himself was telling me, I'm in better hands now. I'm in better hands now. Like, let me go. It's okay. I'm in better hands. And I truly believe he's in better hands now, because there's nothing anyone on earth can give anyone that is lasting and beautiful and perfect and permanent, like what God can give.
Yeah.
And pure joy, pure strength, just absolute divine beauty. Nothing and no one can give us here on earth anything like that.
Wow. But then that's not the only difficult thing you've had to deal with, right?
No,
It's not the only difficult thing
oh my goodness,
that you had to deal with.
I lost my dad when I was 15. And until a few weeks ago, I truly thought, I'm over that. I'm good. I'm sorted. And then things come up and you're like, what's happening? What really is the issue here? Because things happen and then they're a trigger. And you ask yourself, is this a rational reaction to this situation? Or could there be more? And having trained as a life coach, I'm a certified life coach, having done counseling, having done educational psychology, like with all that, and of course, having read the Bible, I've been a Christian all my life, I am sensitive to these small things. And so when I lost him at 15, of course, I was very sad.
And you
I
were
was
very
devastated. My mom says we were close. But, well, for some time he wasn't living with us. I think that's not really a secret anymore. He really wasn't there. But I loved him anyway. Mom would tell us that when he'd visit and it's time to go away, I'd not want to let go of his hand when he was going to the car.
Yeah. So there was always that hope
Yearning.
of, I'm going to connect with my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was called to Alliance, # I went to Alliance. Yes, we are those people. Yeah, so when I was called to Alliance, I thought he'd want to take me to school. So he went and camped at his office and camped, and then we went to school. So I thought,
Did he take you?
No.
Oh, you camped, and then eventually you left.
Yeah, I went with my mom and auntie. Yeah, in October of that year, he passed away from one. And I couldn't tell anyone because after holidays, I would come and also share stories where we were taken, what we did. Because those were the 2-3 stories I had about him. So you twist them in a way. When you're creative, yeah? You twist them this way, that way. Then now there were no more stories to tell. He's gone. What am I going to say? And it broke me.
You prayed for him to come. He didn't
come.
You waited for him to write. He never wrote.
Yeah, and I visited in person for him to take me to the Alliance Girls High School, and he couldn't. Wasn't I ever going to be good enough for him?
And now you never
or for
know.
anyone else for that matter. So this is fast forward, yeah? So, like, that whole journey, will anyone ever want me? Am I only celebrated if I do well? Is that the only time I have value? But I did so well and he still didn't want to take me to school. So, okay, do I have any value anyway? Even if I do flips, backwards 10 times, it was a difficult journey. So I hid it from everyone in school. I think only my class teacher knew, maybe the teacher on duty and the deputy principal. I didn't tell anyone, and I played it hard. Like I was the sugu, I was the one. Until 10 years later when it hit me. And I remember not being able to go to work for, I think, 2, 3 days because I just broke down and I was crying throughout. I couldn't. It hit me so hard. And that's why when Jason died, I decided I'm going to cry at every turn. His name is mentioned, I will, like that. Then you deal with it. Because when I didn't deal with it before, it came to haunt me later. And then in the in-between, I was very busy looking for a father figure, looking for someone who I could call dad. Just hi dad, so that I'd have a dad figure, a father figure of some sort, a male place of security and covering and embrace. And I did find a couple of people who are willing to father me, so to say. But then it wasn't real because I'd never be their blood daughter. And I think that can trigger things in your heart and maybe your brain that just tells you you're unwanted, you're not good enough, you will never belong. Like, it's a whole
And creates a
journey.
lot of anxiety. So here you are dealing with losing your dad, and then you get married and you have this burden. You're building a life for yourself, and then you also lose your child. And then, just this feeling of I have to strive to be good enough to be acceptable. What did that eventually, how was that for you?
It was hard. It's always been hard because you can never be good enough for someone who doesn't want you. That's the first thing. They say, this lovely home quotes, that where there's room in the heart, there's room in the home. And where there's no room in the heart, of course, there's no room in the home. And the good thing is that he gave me different people who
In
would take
different
up different
seasons.
versions. So although I didn't have one father, to have all his joy and his anger and his wrath, he gave me a variety of father figures whose positive sides I would see. So they'll deal with the drama elsewhere, but me, I just get the blessings. I thank God for that. Now, fast forward when I think about fatherhood specifically, my only healing in that area is that God is my father and he will never die. He'll never leave me. He'll never forsake me. He'll never die, most importantly. Because no matter how perfect every other father around can be, they'll always die. It
And I
doesn't
can tell
matter.
you, having grown up with my dad who loved me to bits, that the illusion or the lie is that there's a perfect father, that they will wound you, they will disappoint you. And that perfect love that you expect from a parent can only truly come from our Heavenly Father.
I dimmed my light a lot because I thought if I'm better than you, you're not going to like me. I'm not going to be in a clique. I'm not going to belong anywhere. And I won't have any fun stories or fun experiences. So I began dimming my light many, many years ago, like just slowly by slowly. And it doesn't help because if I had the solution, we'd both benefit, save time, and move on in positive energy. But then I had to. And I've done that for so long it stopped me from raising issues. I remember one time it was so costly because it stopped me from raising issues to not sound like I am what do you call it? I'm blaming someone else for no reason or I'm just out bad mouthing someone. And that was hard. It cost me a big opportunity. Some time back, a huge opportunity. Because then I can't be too good. It can't be this easy. And if you don't believe me, then okay, even me, I don't believe myself, so that you like me.
Now you've talked to us a lot about like the feelings of rejection, the feelings of, of like not really having that stability, like you would want your dad and he would be coming, going, coming, and then one day he went. And of course that was not his fault, but it still robbed you. And then that whole anxiety, the wanting to please, that whole imposter syndrome and all that, and of course the tremendous pressure that must have put on you. Would you attribute that to getting depressed, or how did you realize that, or how did this sadness begin, and how did you realize that, this is not just normal sadness?
So way back when, I think I was four, five, six, maybe seven, six, seven, maybe. I would like listening to music. And then someone told me, very brilliant person, I think they're being malicious, that for you to get your songs into a tape, you just pick the tape and sing into it. So I just pick tape and sing and sing. Oh my God, I was so dumb. Then now in the evening when mom would come home, I'd want her to listen to my songs. And there's no way on earth that could ever happen. Like, how now? But I remember now instances like those where I'd be so bubbly and alive. And then I'd want to share that experience. And first of all, I was calmed. So no song was recorded. So there's nothing to show. Then now you try to express yourself to people and you're shut down. I remember knowing answers to questions, giving the answers, and then being told, shut up,
Okay,
you're a
Mbele.
child.
Who else
Yeah.
wants to respond other than Annegladys? Why do teachers do that? If someone else wanted to respond, they could have put up their hand.
They would have.
Anyway,
But I remember being that young and being told to, and I'm like, but you guys, it's obvious. This plus this is this. So what? And I remember from that young age, wishing I'd never been born, wanting to disappear, wanting for the earth to swallow me like it did the Israelites and just for my life to end. So I have lived with that sadness for a long time. I've lived with the sadness of knowing that I have the smarts and I did the homework. And then people didn't do, because again, these young people will laugh at us. They wanted to watch Mahabharat, but they want to copy my homework. And I don't want to give my homework to be copied. One, because the teacher said don't do it. But two, man, it's my work. You didn't do yours. Go be beaten for it.
but then you
And
also want to be
I was
liked.
the bad one.
And then you really also do
No,
want
but
to
you
be
see,
liked.
I have to follow rules. So I'm a stickler to the rules because this is the higher power that can beat you. And I think the sadness has been there for a very long time. So if anyone would show any affection, I would generally lean towards that. I know you're using me. I know I'm not your friend. I know I'm here for a purpose, but I'm not here because it's me that you want. And that sadness just continued and continued and continued. It doesn't matter how much shine I get. Because remember, I'd bought a bucket for dimming my light, yeah? The one that was on the hill, you know? So it didn't matter. It just, and I remember doing
Do you
one
matter how much you
TV.
dimmed it, yeah?
Apparently, I didn't dim it well enough because I was still offending the people I was dimming it for to be accepted, and I still wasn't good enough. Like, it's such a confusing journey. I'm sure someone who hasn't gone through depression is probably watching this and wondering, yeah, really. But unless you've been there, you can know. We say in Greek, "Utaka nywirire," right? And then now fast forward to when I got my diagnosis, and now I'm depressed, and it's severe.
How did you get your diagnosis?
I went to a doctor. Of course, I would
I
know
mean,
because
what
I would
led
Google.
you to the doctor?
What led me to the doctor? Just those feelings of being very, very low. Very, very low. You have no energy. You want to wake up and go to work and you can't go.
Oh, this was way after
Or,
college.
yeah, this is after college. You know, when now it hits you like, hey, something might be wrong. And then, of course, with the advent of technology, information explosion, you look for things online and you find them and you're like, by the way, this thing is going towards the red. You take another test, another, and you're like, I'd like a professional opinion. I'd like maybe medicine, if there is need for that. I'd like something, someone of authority, someone of consequence and substance in this line to tell me what's up with me. And so that's what the doctor told me, you know, that I had severe depression. And so I began taking meds and I took them for a long time. You don't quite get better, you just get moderated, you know, you just get stabilized just to make sure you're not killing yourself. Because I've been suicidal for as long as I can remember.
When was the first incident and what led up to that?
First desires when I was a child, you know, just feeling I'm not wanted, I'm not good enough. Then being bullied, you know, for really no good reason. I mean, bully me if I've beaten you, but I haven't done anything to you. I've followed all your rules, I've done everything to be likable and I've checked every box. And it gets exhausting. First you get tired in the heart, then you get tired in the head. And when your head gets tired, your body can't move. You know, it's so exhausting. And so dealing with that over and over again, then they give you medication and at least you're stable. At least your
So
life
what
is
was
going
your
on.
diagnosis?
Severe depression. Yeah, severe. Like I was on the red completely. Yeah. So that was not interesting. Then I had to go to work, and sometimes I can't go to work.
For a lot of us don't understand that you're not refusing to go to work, that you honestly do not have the energy, or that you so. But then here you're a Christian, so you start being prayed for. No, first you start being talked to. You have to,
Be
this is the
strong.
devil. Resist the devil. Have the joy of God. How can you be, someone who presents hope? Jesus is the hope of all nations. Our hope, the hope of all glory, and here you are struggling with feelings of helplessness. What did that do to your faith? Or did you? Or maybe I'm assuming, did you even feel helpless or hopeless?
Yes, helpless, hopeless, nothingness. It gets to a place you almost don't feel anything. And I can understand why people cut themselves. I haven't cut myself, but I can understand because you want to feel something, anything. Because at some point you don't feel anything. And also you feel these things, you share them with people, no one wants to believe you. So it also begins to tell your psyche that, by then you're not feeling these things, they are not real. You start being the one abusing yourself and telling yourself those things because no one believes anyway. So there's that whole helplessness, feeling of worthlessness. Like, there's nothing in this life for me. There's nothing I'm contributing. By then my plan was to die by 40. So what did that do to my faith? Many things. One, I wondered, will I ever say God is faithful ever again? When my dad died. And I can tell you for free, that's one of the songs I love to sing and belt out and sing in front of a crowd, and hopefully they get that he is faithful. In retrospect, I know he is. At that time, he leadeth me and tatembea na wewe katika safari yangu. Oh my goodness. Those are deep songs that would always pull me back. But between then and now, when I am in God again, like I've been pulled back, it was a challenge. Because of the things I'd gone through, first of all, I didn't want anything to do with God. I wrote him letters and I told him, now we are done.
So do they come in bouts, or is this like a simmering, present, continuous?
I think it's generally there, but you can numb it or you can hide it using hype and events and stuff. But when you are left with your pillow in the evening, you're the only one who knows what's really going on. Sometimes it's so overwhelming you can't go out, but sometimes you can hide it. But when you go back to bed, no matter how high the day has been, sometimes you will still feel that. Again, depending on the season, yeah? As we speak, I'm having a 30-day period of just thinking and praying and surrendering to God one more time and telling him, you know what, whatever you want to do with my life, I'm game. And immediately I started telling God such things. I started getting those calls again. First of all, you called it, are you still coming? Someone else called me. Like, there are all these things now lined up in the line of ministry that I was saying no to. I was like, no, it can't be. Me, of all people, why would you want to use me? What about me would speak to anyone or change anyone's life or bring any breath of fresh air anywhere, because I am so all those dark things. So yes, I've had my moments. They've been very tough. I think from where I sit, I would not judge anyone who's walking astray. Astray here meaning away from God, even intentionally, because I can imagine the kind of pain they've gone through and what they've felt. I may not know the exact issue, but I think at the end of the day, God himself will pull you back. Just say yes. But then the more you resist, the harder it is out there. The only true home is in God, not in any human being, not in any item, not in money, not in fame, not in, like, there's nothing that can compare with being at home in God. So full circle, I think I've gone. I've looked, I've tried, I've ran away. I think it just has to, I just have to say it's okay now, God. I am all yours. Let's do this.
So what were some of the hardest period, like maybe dealing with your congregants, or just what were some of the hardest seasons, and when did you start looking at it like this may not be a curse, this could be the thing that keeps me centered and grounded to my need for Christ?
I think there would have to be event-driven or situation-driven. Now, for example, when someone would ask me about Jason, what are the advantages of losing a child? No, that's just dumb. So just, how do you answer such a person? So those things take you even further. Now you wonder, how do you respond to this person in a way that is still godly, but to bring some sense into them, you know? So it's sometimes you want to react the way even just a person without mental issues would react, but then you remember if you react, you're going to be the bad one. So you just hold your peace.
You're going to be that crazy person.
Just wondering sometimes, what do I tell people? When you come to me and I'm going through the same thing you're going through, how do I encourage you? Because I don't even believe what I'm going to tell you. It's not working for me, at least the way I see it at the time. It's not working for me. What can I tell you? And then, of course, those periods of not wanting to go to church and people asking questions like, where is she? What's up? That those are challenging things, because how do you wrap your head around that? How do they wrap their heads around that? Sometimes I can tell it's not going to be an easy period of time, or normal life for everybody else gets too overwhelming for me. So just go and tell the doctor, by the way, it's like this, and I need 1, 2, 3. I remember once telling a psychiatrist exactly what I needed and how I needed it. And he decided, no, I'm going to give you the opposite in like double doses. And in a week, I was back in hospital having tried to take my life. And he was like, sorry, I should have listened to you. Because I know myself now. If I tell you I need to see a doctor, I will just go and I'll get my prescription and I'll take it for 5, 10 days or whatever period of time is needed. And then life will go on. So many times, I think with life and perhaps with age to a certain extent, you just sit back and you realize, by the way, this is the situation, this is what's happening. If I go about it this way, I'll end up here. If I go about it this way, I'll end up here. So what's the best thing to do? Choose the middle way, not too extreme, or just, see a doctor or take a break from something. And then now you'll have a stabilized period of operation. If that's not the case, then you're going to really, really have a hard time. And you're going to spoil it for everybody else. So if I think I'm going to have a bad time, I think if even my kids can tell, I just breathe, like, and they're like, hey, mommy's mad, or mommy's not okay. And then now the situation just simmers down, because they're like, okay, this is now too much. Let's tone down our game. Let's go play somewhere else. Let's like that. And then also taking advantage of the energy times. Like when I'm feeling fine, everything is fine, that's when I'll write all these books. Then there'll come a time and I'm like, I have no energy for anything. Then I'm just having a low season, because I love producing. It's not a performance thing per se, but I just love it. It's part of who I am, and I love information. So I think I'll forever write books. So when that's not happening, I feel really bad. So it's a downtime, but I give it up, because I know even if I try, I'll run one project for like 6 weeks and it won't work.
So this journey has actually made you very self-aware.
Absolutely.
And
also other
intentional.
people aware. Because I can tell your sneer, I can tell your disgust, I can tell your hate from a mile away. I'll cooperate with you just to get the job done, but I can already tell where you have no good plans for me. I think I'll just put a lot of effort into writing my books and doing the work that God has called me to do. Everything else that anyone else has an opinion about, please have. We're going to go your way. It is fine. Because at the end of the day, you realize, by the way, I have my own platform, you have yours, everybody has their platform.
Yeah.
So that's your area of expertise. We are good, we're going to go your way. But in my area, if I'm going to write a fun book, if I'm going to, I don't know, if I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, as long as it's not contradicting the Bible, that's my area and I'm fine. I don't have to get into petty fights with the rest of you. So maybe that's why it's so easy to pick up some of those things, like what's been ingrained in your brain, what you've grown up with, or what you go through in life. You can easily pick those up. So I'm at a point where I'm like, God, just show me how to respond, not react, and be very calm. Let people be, and to always come back to you for my validation of my feelings, for assurance, for affirmation, for all those things. Because I've discovered if anyone gives you any of those things out here, unless I see otherwise, they always want something from you. God is the only one who does that for me without asking for stuff.
Yeah. But I also think that sometimes people are very uncomfortable when you are self-aware, because most people are not willing to deal with who they are and their own issues and their own journeys and their own failures and their own particularly weaknesses. And when you stand up and say and put a mirror on yourself, then it kind of gives them the pressure to have to put up the same mirror, and they don't want. Yeah. And then I think you just reach a point where you say, you know what, I am embracing me. I'm comfortable with me. You may not like it, that's fine, but does God like it? Yeah. And ultimately, just to answer that question, is it the devil? Is it? I think it's a little bit of everyone. And sometimes as Christians, the knowledge that our war is actually spiritual. And the devil will do anything to stop the gift or the seed of greatness that the Lord has put within you. And one of the things I like about this story is that it's not just about the sadness. That as God is giving you ability to deal with that area of your life, you're raising very confident girls who read books. You're raising children. You are sharing your life with somebody. You are finishing off your PhD. I mean, that can have been easy. And that you have fought to get your voice heard and to use it positively for the kingdom, when it would have been so easy to just stay in bed. Yeah, when it would have been so easy to just stay in bed. So for someone who's been there, just wanting to get their foot out of the bed, because I'm sure there are times when you want to get your foot out of the bed and you really do not have the energy to do that, and so you sleep. But there are times when God enables you to wake up and you plug, you've said there'll be seasons of highness, and you're able then to maximize. So what would you tell someone who's going through any form of mental issue struggles? Whether it's rejection, whether it's depression, whether it's imposter syndrome. What is it that you what would be like your parting shot?
If they were here like right now,
Yeah.
I'd first give them a big hug. A big hug until they let go. Not until I let go. Until they let go. And I'd tell them, cry if you need to. Wail, scream, hit a pillow, break a glass. You can always buy another one. Whatever you need to do to get it off your system, by all means do it. It is valid. You feel what you're feeling. It is real. It is true. Be free to feel those things. If you want to hug me tight like this and get all your anger, please, by all means, I'm here for you. I have a big body, I'll support you. Get it all out. It is valid, it is real. That's number one. Number two, acknowledge. I'm not saying accept, because maybe you can change some things, I don't know. But acknowledge that your life is what it is right now. Those feelings are there. That fatigue is there. That sadness is there. Just acknowledge it. I'm not saying that you befriend it, or just acknowledge it. It is okay. And for your sake, I validate it for you. It is there, it is real. I acknowledge it. Because many times we are not acknowledged. Our sadness is denied. We are told we are lazy, you're kaput, you're somewhere else, So acknowledge that. 3, because after all my rounds, I just found that God is the only true one. Talk to God about it. Tell him what hurts. Tell him what doesn't hurt. Tell him what you like, what you don't like. Journal everything. That has been a point of healing for me. Journal everything. Let it all out. You don't have to write pen and paper. Record voice notes to yourself. Form a group with yourself, with your other number, and just send them, and get it off your chest. Because God listens, God cares, and he doesn't have a dustbin for our prayers. So that'll always matter. And then 4, seek help. If it gets to a point, you've done all those 3 and you still feel you need more support, seek help. Talk to a doctor or Google. I can share a couple of numbers where you can just call for whatever issue you have. If it's drugs, there's a 4-code number. If it's abuse, it's what? And they're free. Call. They're toll-free numbers. Just call and talk to someone. The people on the other end will listen to you. They will stay with you for as long as you need to. I know because I have called those numbers. And I have cried, and the person on the other end was just listening. It's okay, I'm still here. You continue crying. You cry, you finish. Then now they tell you, so what was happening? So call those numbers, seek help. If they tell you need to see a doctor, see a doctor. If the doctor says you need medication, by all means, take it. If you don't take the medication, honestly, you don't want to get well. Because that's the help you have right now. And having to take medication does not mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're a lunatic or there's something wrong with you. Wouldn't we take medication for cancer or for whatever else? Would we call those people names? It's a normal disease. It's a normal thing. Just that for us who live with it, you carry it with you everywhere. It's not that we get well and leave it at some point. Some things, I think they're spiritual. I'm sure there's a Pentecostal side that can cast out these demons and they go forever. But I'm yet to see someone who has had lasting deliverance from depression. Because it's your body, it's your hormones, it's your cells, like how they fire. So unless, I don't know, unless that pastor can perform surgery, remove, and then close you up, sometimes it's a journey you have to walk. And it's the thorn in your flesh.
Does not have to always heal us the way we understand healing.
No, he healed 2 people that I loved by taking them home. So that's one form of healing. Another form of healing, which I believe is what I live with a lot, is being able to thrive in spite of this and being able to coexist. And I could remember this earlier, but I forgot to share. I remember at some point facing some challenges in some of my career activities and feeling so dumb. And I was like, this is the worst feeling ever. Why would this happen? And then I looked at the big picture and I realized by the way people out there try very hard and they don't make it, even to as far as I had gone at that time. So I don't judge anyone who might be suffering, maybe even financially, because they're probably doing their best and things are not working in their favor and they've done everything they could. So one of the things I've learned from this journey of depression is you can't judge people. Just try and find out why they are where they are, what they can do with what they have, and help them. And then again, there's really no excuse nowadays with technology. Learn something, automate it, let it make money for you as you sleep. Just there are little things you can do to make it better. But for me, I wouldn't just put it heavily on someone. You didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Especially someone who I think is under depression or is suffering from depression. But then for the people on this other side who feel very righteous and loved by God and not cursed like us. Yes, pun intended. For those of them, this is what I would tell them. Look people in the eyes. They will lie to you with their lips. But if you look them in the eye, you will see the story they're telling you. They'll be telling you one thing on one side with a lot of volume and actions and what have you. But if you read their eyes, you can tell. Kwanza, for you as a minister and a pastor's wife, you can tell when to call someone aside. If they're suffering in their marriage, and greet the husband nicely and then pull the sister away, like, come, I show you some shoes I bought. You pull them aside, bring them to your office and then ask them, so what's going on? They will talk. And I remember being on TV and having all these wonderful experiences and what have you. And one friend saw through the TV. She was like, so what's going on? I'm like, see, I just had an interview. It was nice. Like, yeah, right. She saw through all that beauty and glamour and things. And she was able to tell, this is it. And we're going to deal with it right here. And that is a friend, I would give my life for that one any day. So look people in the eyes. It doesn't matter whether they're above you, below you, they're in society, they're up here. Look them in the eyes. You will see their pain. And then tell them now what you just talked about. Their feelings are valid because you may not always have time to talk with them. Their feelings are valid. Their experience is valid. Please get help. And if you have to take medication, take it by all means. Yeah. And God is still on the throne. At the end of the day, because the day is not yet over, at the end of the day, you'll see how it works out. And it will be a beautiful end. But if there's anything I have learned and that gives me comfort, it's that God is better than Google Maps. When you're driving to a place you don't know, you put on your Bluetooth, Google Maps, and it takes you to that very place. Now, the Bluetooth can run out of charge, your phone can run out of charge, you can hit a place without Wi-Fi and you'll get lost. But imagine the Holy Spirit is always there with you. Day and night, he never runs out of charge. And he's always there for you, leading you and guiding you. If only you will say, come and help me. If you don't, he's a gentleman, he'll stand at the door and knock and wait for your answer. But if you let him in, if there's anything I've learned, it's that he'll always be with you. Always, always, always. And you're better off looking to him for help. You look anywhere else, you're gonna get lost. But if you just trust in him, it's going to be a beautiful journey. It's rocky, yes, but would I rather have the challenges that I see around me? No, thank you. No, thank you. Let me just have mine. I will handle mine. I know I have grace for mine. I don't know how other people deal with other things. You know? Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. It's not
You're
easy.
welcome.
It's not easy. But like AG has said, if you're struggling with any form of mental illness or you're just struggling with anything, first and foremost, you're valuable just the way you are. Because sometimes God allows us, some of these challenges become our most beautiful story or our most beautiful witness of God's grace in the midst of very, very difficult circumstances. And what you're going through is valid. And if you need help, do not be embarrassed to ask for it. And if that help is medication, then kindly take it. Kindly take it, because God uses anything. And I guess just like you've said, at the end of the day, Christ is able to walk you through it. God bless you and have a lovely week.